Hello everyone, and welcome to my part 3 of my Energistics 2 Speed Spotlight, where we're going to cover channels. Now, channels are new, and some people think they're really confusing, but they're not that confusing once you understand it, so don't go into this thinking you're never going to get it. Go in with a nice fresh mind, and ask questions if you need to. Really, just ask. But without further ado, let's get started with channels and apply Energistics 2. So there's not too many crafting recipes involved in channels. You get a diamond processor and some pure fluix crystals and some sky stone. You get a ME controller. These are multi-block structures, so you can put them together and they will act all together. Fluix cable and a wool will get you a covered fluix cable, which can then be colored so they don't combine with each other. Or you can combine that with a redstone and a glowstone not colored, and you get a smart cable fluix, and these then can be colored. Not colored covered cables, 4 of them, redstone and glowstone, will get you a dense cable, and then these can be colored also. And then a quartz processor, 2 iron, 2 gold, and redstone will get you a memory card, and these we'll use for the P2P tunnels, which are crafted just like this using diamond processor and some fluix crystals. So now, let's take a look at channels. Some things require channels and some things don't. These are things that require channels. Level emitters, terminals, any kind of buses, P2P tunnels, ME chests, interfaces, crafting CPUs, and drives. These are things that don't require channels: molecular assemblers, quartz fibers, inscribers, energy cells, inverted toggle buses, chargers, crystal growth accelerators, and ME controllers. So let's take a look at this basic ME system right here. It is a non-controller ME system. Big difference between the two. A non-controller ME system can have up to 8 channels running through it. Each channel is taken up by a single thing that requires a channel, one of the things on the left side there. So you can see you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on this interface right here, channels being used. This doesn't use a channel, that doesn't use a channel, and that doesn't use a channel. So if you look at this smart cable, it shows you there's 7 channels, and you use 7 lights light up, and on the top you see 7 of 8 channels. If I were to put in this ME crafting terminal here, you then get 8 of 8 channels, and this is a fully maxed out system. I can't do anything else with this. If I were to add another terminal, that would hit 9, and the entire system just shuts down from there, and it doesn't work. So to fix this problem, to use more than 8 channels in a single network, you have to use a controller, and the first way to look at a controller is like this. Controllers are basically the brain of the system. They kind of reach out, like imagine little tendrils going through all the little cables, and they grab or connect to everything that requires a channel. So everything on the left side that was back there. So here are the 8 little tendrils coming out, restricted by the fact that this pipe right here can only handle 8. This can handle as many as it wants. So 8 of them can reach out here, 1 of them goes 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 all the way there, and then you only get 1 at the very end. So if you go any further, oh, that's going to connect up. If you go any further, you're not going to actually have any left over. See right here, you have dense cables which hold 32, and each of these lines represent 4. So each of these is outputting 32, and each of them, 8 are able to go through each thing that requires a channel. So 8 can go through this drive. So you have 8 going through here, 7 through here. Basically, it reaches all the way down. If I were to get rid of this, it only handle these 8 because only 8 can fit through this. This is the narrow point, but yeah, it can handle more than that. So now you should be able to understand this system right here. You have the controller here, which is outputting 31 channels. 3 of the channels are going down to here. 4 of them are going to these CPUs. 8 of them are coming to here, going into these. See the 8 being restricted here. You have 8 coming into here, and you have 8 coming into here, which is using 31 out of the 32, and you add those all together. Now you get into the concept of P2P tunnels, which are kind of channel teleporters. So you can see I have a P2P tunnel here, which using the memory card, you would shift right click to save the settings, and then right click to load the settings. Now connect to P2P tunnels, kind of allow channels to travel through them. So you have 32 channels coming through here. They get teleported pretty much over to here. The restriction for this is that P2P tunnels have to be connected on the same network, and they each require a channel. So here in this little blue area you have a subnetwork, which is a non-controller network, which has 2 channels running on it, 1 for each of these, and a power supply. You could theoretically connect this network to this one, and I'll do that over there. But yeah, that's how P2P tunnels work. And if I were to take a crafting terminal and drop it right here, it would then use up one of these channels. Only 31 would be right here, and this would only be able to output 31. You can see that last 5 turns off because there aren't enough channels going through. So here's another example using P2P tunnels. You can see this one actually uses, the P2P tunnels are actually on the same network. You have an ME dense cable, the blue line you can see here is connecting all of the P2P tunnels. And this yellow line goes through this network and comes out to these. So 24 go in and 24 come out. As you can see, they don't have to come out in the same spot, which leaves a lot of room potential. And you can see the green, red, and green are each doing 32, connected to these 32 drives. And the reason they're different colors is so they don't connect to each other. So now we can look at subnetworks. The important thing you can know about networks is you can't have more than one controller. So I put down a controller here, it turns red, doesn't work. So I have this network over here, just using this as a network, uses a bunch of channels, but I need storage. All my storage is way over here, and I don't want to have to run dense cables way over there. So I put down a controller over here, and basically connect all these together using some dense cables. Then I can run a single line going to an interface with a storage bus on that connected to this system. Now this system pretty much has access to all the storage I have way over there. But this system needs power. You can see this one has power, this one doesn't. So this subnetwork needs power. That's why you have this quartz fiber. Quartz fibers can send powers, but they won't use any channels. So basically the power is able to run through this and get to the system, powering it up. If I were to move this line, this wouldn't have any power and it would turn off, but the quartz fiber is there to make sure that doesn't happen. So this storage bus is able to use this interface to access all the storage, which is technically a separate network, and it's all the red line right there. So you can use your separate network. You can use many subnetworks. They don't need to have controllers, but you can do some pretty creative things. You can see right here I have tons of deep storage units, each with one specific item inside of it, each with storage buses on it for your typical large storage system for many items. But they are also each of the deep storage units also being monitored by subsystems. So you can see this yellow subsystem right here is getting its power through a quartz fiber, so it just gets power. It is a 4-channel system with a storage bus, a level emitter, a storage monitor, and a crafting terminal. So you can see we have stone in here. You have 320 stone in here. This is not outputting because it's not over 400. You can just access the stone from this terminal and nothing else. So I would take some stone out of this, take it out of that, and you'd have less in here. If I put some in here, then go straight into this, you can see that goes up. You can also do that with ME drives. You can have the cable connect up to it, then can access everything inside the drives. You can see inside the drives we have TNT because it's not anything else. But if you use a storage bus on that, use a subnetwork for that, you can then access the actual cells that's being taken up. So I take this out, that was the cell that could hold the TNT, and it's no longer in the system. So that was ME channels in 6 minutes 49 seconds. There's a lot. It's a very complicated concept, but I think this is your best bet at understanding it. Just looking at how the controller sends its channel to everything, and just starting at the controller. Use your controller as your base, maybe a big controller if you need to, but really you just have to play around with it and figure out what works for you. Go into creative, test with things, try to build things, and then if you get stuck, well, you can always just ask a question. I am here to answer your questions on this. Also, the mod creator actually created a video explaining channels, which is what I used to learn about channels pretty much. It's a big help. It's a little lengthy, but not incredibly long. But watching it 1 or 2 times, you'll eventually figure out kind of how this works. And I'll have that in the description below. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.